Hey everybody, we are back. It is Friday and we're back to hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. So, we got our fellow host with us on tonight. We've got Dawn and Darina. So, y'all, how was your week? Cuz we haven't talked all week. I know we've been busy. I know we've been texting, but how's y'all week?
I will say I'll be glad it's Friday, but my weekend is too jam packed for me to say I'm glad it's Friday. So it's still no rest. So it's just another day of life and health. So I
I
I, I guess I'm gonna just leave it there.
well, I hear you. How about you, sis?
I'm yeah.
Y'all ain't got nothing good.
Days just run into days and roll into nights, and working third shift don't make my days any better. So this is the only night that I have off, but I'm just glad to be able to wake up with the living on this side of the life.
Girl, you ain't
Pray for every
saying it,
day
girl.
and
You
dealing with
saying
the
that.
obstacles that happen to come my way, the challenges that God allows me to experience, I should say.
Yeah, I
So,
hear
but
you.
I'm good. It's been a good week.
Girl,
Some of the things that happen at work, stuff you can't make up, and you just be sitting there like, "Ooh, are people really that smart?" you know. So, but it is what it is.
yeah, it's been, you know what? It's been a long week. I'm gonna be honest. It's been a long week. Work was a lot on this week. Um, and then, so yeah, I'll just say it was a long week. I was glad to see Friday come in. But I do got to work tomorrow, so I don't know how good that is. I don't normally
Me
work
too.
Saturdays, but that's okay. I'm gonna go in and do what I have to do. But I'm glad to be here tonight because this is one thing that I do love to do. I enjoy this part of my life. This part, man, it's sweet. I told him I'm living the dream doing this. So I am so glad to see y'all ladies on today. I'm grateful that we did make it to the end of our week. So on tonight, one of y'all ladies want to share our topic on tonight. So y'all, we put I put a question in our group chat. I said, "What y'all want to talk about?" Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. So, what are we talking about on tonight, ladies?
Darina, you always trying to hide, girl. If you open your mouth,
My mouth was open. Just nothing came out. No, I thought the consensus was it's okay not to be okay. I
That's
thought that
it. I
that's
was.
that's
that's the
it. That's it.
consensus.
That's
Yeah.
it. So the topic tonight. It's okay not to be okay. And when I was like, man, that's heavy. That's heavy. Who wanna start off? Cause y'all know I can talk a whole lot.
Well, since I'm the quiet one, let me go ahead and put my little 2 cents in. Um, I think that as we travel through life, it's normal that we all are going to have ups and downs. We all are going to have tests and trials. We all are going to have things coming our way. And it's just a part of life where things are going to get to you, whether it's family, whether it's work, and especially those kids that you, especially if you birth some,
Them
Lord have
grown
mercy.
people that live, them grown aliens that live in your house.
So I mean, it's something, and for some, they have had past trauma, so it's always going to be something that's going to come against you, and where it becomes a struggle to function, a struggle to persevere, a struggle to just keep going. Um, and that's okay too. It's
Yeah,
okay not to be okay.
yeah,
And hopefully, prayerfully, you have that one person or people, and we talk about resources, but that can get you back on track. That can give you resources that you need to be okay.
right, right. What about you, Dawn?
That what is it? It's okay to be okay. Is that right? 7 words? Is that right?
It's
Am I
okay
saying it right,
not
y'all?
to be
To
okay.
be okay.
Right, okay, hold on. Hold that thought. I gotta count how many words it is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those 6 little words, that small little phrase is packed with so much. Um, being, coming from the Christian aspect, you're not allowed to suffer. You're not allowed to speak on when you're not okay. You're not allowed to say, "Oh, I need therapy. Oh, I need counseling, this, and that, and the other." So it's hard to open up when you get a bunch of, excuse the phrase, holier than thou people around you that won't let you be okay. They busy telling you, "Oh, give it to God, let God fix it. God, you don't trust God enough. You this, you that," and that's not the case. God allow people to go to school to get smart degrees and a whole bunch of ABCs and alphabets behind their names to help you to fix it when you're not okay with being okay. Things happen, like Dorena said, things happen. Life sucker punches us every day. Every day you get a sucker punch from left side to right side, family, friends, jobs. It just happens. And
Yeah.
ever since COVID, it's gotten ridiculous. You can't even speak to a person without them wanting to chew your head off, and you don't know what that person is going through, and I don't they don't know what you're going through, and sometimes heated things happen and discussions happen, and you all are TikTok and Facebook or whatever, Bach or whatever, because somebody saw you getting into it with Sally Joe over here, and they calling you a Karen because something happened to you that made you snap. You're dealing with stuff at home, you're dealing with grief, you're dealing with trauma, but you outside on the outside world smiling like everything's okay. And it just
Yeah.
takes one thing to trigger that.
And
So this is a
and
good topic to talk about.
yeah. So when you talk about the church, um, it's one place that I noticed, and it's sad, but it's the one place that you should feel safe. You should be able to be transparent. But I think now this is just me. People can disagree, which is fine. I think what has happened is we've lost our focus. We lost our focus, and our hearts, and I talk about this a lot, our hearts are no longer towards God, because if we really had our hearts toward God, we'd be okay with somebody not being okay. And a lot of times, if you don't sit in the moment and deal with the moment will deal with you. And so when we talked, when you came up, and Dawn is the one that came up with this title.
It's
Um,
not
she's whispering, and of course we put it in we have a group chat, and she put it in a chat, and we discuss what we're going to talk about. And when she put it in the group chat, I remembered, and I can recall so many times in my life being saved, filled with the Holy Ghost, that I was not okay, but could not say, well, let me take this back. I could say it to two people, and the two people are on this line tonight, that I could tell them I'm not okay. But when I was in the pulpit, singing praise and worship, sitting among people, I couldn't voice that I wasn't okay, that I was broken,
Hmm.
that I was
come on,
hurting,
tell it, tell it.
that I was in this place of despair. Oh no, you can't be a Christian and be in despair. You can't be a Christian and feel like there's no hope. You Yes, you can. We are walking around in a fleshly vessel. And I think we forget that we are human beings with emotions, and we're going to go through things in life to where we're not going to be okay. When my oldest got sick, well, we'll go back before she even got sick. When um, I had after Chase Saya, I had another baby, got pregnant again, and I lost that baby. And everybody was like, "Oh, it's just God's will." But in I wasn't okay. I saw the baby's heartbeat. I saw that, but everybody had the mentality, "Oh, it's okay." But it was not okay for me. But I could not speak it out of my mouth. We have to be able to say, and so this is, so I'm going to say this. So when you said this topic and I read it and I wrote it down, it's okay not to be okay. And the first thing that came to my mind, just say it. Just say
Open
it.
up. Yell it.
I'm not okay. Just say it. And when you can say, because I'm going to tell you what, ooh, I had so much relief when I was able to talk to you or Dorina, and I could say, okay, today I'm just not feeling it. I'm not okay today. It took off the weight of trying to carry this facade, of trying to hide behind this mask that life is all cookies and creams. And it wasn't.
That mask becomes very heavy,
It does. It
very
And
does.
then you
heavy.
put on another one. Hey, and then you put on another one to cover up that one.
All depends on
Yeah.
what environment that you're in,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
every
Yeah.
every environment requires a different mask.
Yeah. But I don't
That's
think
good.
people understand how deeper you go into it's not okay if you don't speak it. If you don't just acknowledge that this moment, I'm not okay. I'm not. But what I believe that God is able to bring me out. And that's, I think, where you need, like, um, Dorina was talking about, you need somebody. Dawn was talking about, you need somebody that you can go to. And a lot of people may not know my studies is psychology. And I know that a lot of churches, not all ministries talk against meeting with a psychologist. But go. You need to go talk to a therapist. And I believe that spiritually and naturally can go in hand. I believe you get a psychologist. Now I recommend you get one that's saved. But if you can't find one, find somebody that will listen and not just hear you, but listen to you and can help navigate you through that moment of I'm not okay. But I think that it's okay if you need some medicine. If you're dealing with depression, anxiety, I think it's okay until you can be brought out of it, till you can be delivered. Take your meds, because when you get into the point of really like I'm not okay and you don't want to say that I'm not okay, then depression steps in. And then now you're battling anxiety, depression. I'm hiding behind a mask. I'm smiling. I'm laughing. But all the while, I am dying on the inside.
Hmm.
Go get some help. Go get some help. So my key word for tonight is just say it. Just say it. I'm not okay. And then take a breath. Yeah.
I I think to piggyback on what Don was saying, I think a lot of times, um, especially when you grew up in a religious household, um, you know, it was so many things that you could not say
Hmm.
because you had to wear the mask. You know, um, I know my mom's favorite scripture is "Let not your good be evil spoken of."
Hmm.
So that was the whole thing of don't let nobody see you act in a certain way, doing certain things. So if it was something going on, how do old folks say, what happens in this house, stay in the house.
Stay in the house.
Mhm.
That's
You
it.
Mhm.
know,
That's
so
it.
from a very early age, you get used to not talking about things.
Mhm.
Well, in my household, I can't speak for nobody else. So in my household, we didn't talk about things because if we said something, it was disrespectful because you were talking back.
Mhm.
So, and that's just a part of communication. So I didn't learn, I'm still learning how to communicate because my brain say one thing, my mouth say something different. So I didn't start learning to communicate until I was good and grown and out the house. But, you know, holding things in can be very dangerous.
It is
Mhm.
dangerous.
Not only mentally but physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, at some point you have to release it because it's going to come out one way or the other,
Mm-hmm.
whether you want it to or not, whether you suspect it or not. You can just have an outburst and be like, where did
Mhm.
that come from? you know
Mhm.
it could be that silent trigger,
Getting you on
like a
TikTok.
loaded gun. and and
Getting you on
and,
Facebook. Yeah.
and you know
Because
because I
everybody got
mean, I
cameras
can't tell
nowadays.
you how many times I done told somebody, okay, we have to get the bail money ready, because
Oh yeah, you good for that one. She said, "Girl, you gonna have to bail me out. You good for that one, dude.
so
Really, you good for that?"
I was like, but it's just a thing. So learning how to communicate is part of it.
But
So you got to know how to say, I'm not
but
okay first.
but that's the thing is you got to have a person that you can trust. You
Sure.
got to have a person that you can tell I'm not okay, and judgment don't step in, and that's
And that's
hard.
one of that's hard, and that's also one of the biggest problems in the church. And because you go to your pastor and you share with your pastor things that's going on, and all of a sudden Sunday morning come around, you happen to be the sermon that was preached for the
You
next
talking?
few weeks.
Are you talking about me? Are you talking about me?
I'm just hey, we listen and we judge.
Don't.
I'm
Ooh,
speaking from experience.
ooh.
I can't tell you about nobody else.
Yeah,
I
God.
could just so I
You
just
know,
get to the point where I don't. It's sad to say when you can't trust pastors
but you know what I.
that you pay your tithes to, and then you call your home and you participate and you sing, you working in the church and this and the other. And the minute you hit a hiccup and you feel that you can trust your pastor or the first lady, um, and
And
then
that's
next thing
not the
you know,
case.
that is not the case.
Yeah,
And again,
yeah.
I'm not judging nobody. I don't have in my what's our phrase? We don't have a heaven or hell to put nobody in.
No,
We just
no, but
speaking from straight up
but it's
experience
truth.
here.
But it's we're talking truth and realness. We're not talking about fictitious stories or a fable. We're talking about life experiences. And that's one thing about, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. We're telling you things that we have experienced in our lifetime. And, listening to Dawn, I kind of laugh, but I laugh now. But back then I wasn't laughing. Um, After my husband passed, I ain't gonna say who it was, but I was told um, in no certain kind of way, just plain. I was hurt. I was, and but everybody wanted me. Well, I'm gonna say not everybody. Certain people wanted me to be okay or fake like I was okay. And the comment that I had gotten was, "Did I do something wrong in my marriage that I can't get over it?" Not I understand that you're not okay because your husband has passed. Why aren't you okay with this? I'm not okay with it because my husband's gone. And but you turned it to where it was like I did something wrong that I'm not okay. And that's where you get in where you lose trust in leaders and your just truth where your conversation, because I've had this happen, has turned into a message over the pulpit. Yeah, It's happened. So then I learned just to keep my mouth closed when it came to talking to the leaders in the church, because the trust that I had, you broke it. And then you made it seem, no, you didn't make it seem, you made it like I had did something wrong because I was not okay. And when I said it was an issue. That shouldn't be the case. We have to be able to have a safe space. And the house of God should be it. Your leaders should be it. But that's not the case. But if you pray, I believe God is able, because he did it for me. He sent me to amazing, strong, powerful women. If you pray, he will send you people that you can trust, you can be transparent with, and they will not judge you. What they say? And we what?
Listen.
We
We listen and we
listen
do
and we
not
don't
We
judge.
listen, we don't judge.
And
Right.
that we should have came up with that slogan before everybody else did. Because that's what y'all did. Y'all did. I don't really know. And as people, continue to learn us through this podcast, they'll find out just the journey that we've been on. And we have been through, man, we've been through some stuff. We've been through some stuff in our lifetime that would make a lot of people go crazy. A lot of people go crazy. A lot of people quit and give up. So when we were like, okay, I'm not okay. Because I remember, Dawn, when you had gotten sick, and you pretty much had it. Because you was
With
like, they don't
time.
know what's wrong with me. They don't know what they doing. And you had moved from Kalamazoo to Atlanta, and it got worse when you got to Atlanta. Now I'm gonna tell y'all, she had me scared, because if I can't communicate with her, I was on 10. And I think she knew it, because she had to tell her girlfriend, look, you gonna have to text this girl, because she
I had to tell my daughter, and I ain't got no girlfriend. My
your
daughter, I had to tell
daughter.
my son is like, listen, I'll tell your daughter, my son told me, I'll tell your daughter what the doctor said, and then she could tell all your friends. I don't want to talk to your friends. You got too many. They want to know too
Yeah,
much. They
no,
calling every day.
yeah, but I was talking to Kira, and I said, Kira, I need to know what's going on with your mom. And I know that you were like, I'm not okay. I remember you using those words. I'm not okay. But all I can say is I hear you. But we're going to pray, and we're going to trust God that you're going to be okay. And our job, and where I'm getting to, is our job is to remind people that, hey, hold on, you're going to be okay. You going to be okay, because the thing is, like Dorena said, you can't stay there. It's not a place that you want to live. In that place of that is, you're not okay. And we have to own up to our feelings. We're not going to be able to avoid it. You can't. Like Dorena said, it's going to come out. It's either going to come out, you're going to get sick, you're going to cut loose on somebody, and they ain't going to be able to bail you out.
I know. In trouble a whole lot of times. I got hands.
I'm sorry.
60 years old and be ready to throw hands in a heartbeat, like back off, because you don't know my story.
Ooh, y'all, we laughing because
let me just say now, let's not admit to anything that can still be used against us in the court of law.
Look, I'm 60. It's okay. I don't know what you mean, Your Honor. I didn't know they was talking that.
I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. I ain't got nothing to say. In the third and the fourth, if that's in there.
I'm kind of old to be going to jail at this point, but
Girl, I look at it like this. You might get free rent. You'll get 3 meals a day. You get free health care. Look, might not
well,
be
I don't know now. About to say, because what's
we ain't gonna say it
now time.
Yeah, the way
people healthcare you gonna be getting.
They ain't gonna healthcare nothing the way they are now. You lucky if you get a bathroom.
This is
because
true.
where they are. But no, we have to own our feelings. We have to, because you don't want it to come out in other ways. And not only do you hurt you, but you hurt everybody else around you. And I know that's not our intentions. Now, me, I'm gonna be honest. I kept it. I talked to you and I talked to Dorina, but I didn't tell anybody else. I didn't. I think they knew that I wasn't okay, but nobody would say it. I know you're not okay. They wouldn't say it. So I went around just smiling. Like, I'm good. People's like, "How are you?" I'm good. I'm blessed, and knew I was lying.
And tore up from the floor up.
Knew I was lying. Knew I wasn't telling the truth. Knew I was ready just to tell somebody off. Y'all don't know how many times. Woo, I had to whoop Marie down. I was whooping Marie. I said, "Girl, keep your mouth, keep," because I wanted to tell people. I want to tell people I'm so bad, but I thank God for the Holy Ghost. I do, because there's some people now. Dawn know this, because, and I ain't gonna say what ministry, but people kept coming to me. She's laughing. People kept coming to me. They kept sending people to me that were married but hadn't been with their husbands in years. They lived separate. How do you tell me how to live past the death of a husband when you didn't like yours? So I had to still smile and still look like I'm good. I'm okay. That's a problem.
I
That is
did
a
volunteer
problem.
to go beat him up for her though.
You're not supposed to. We're not going to. But what I was saying is, I kept my mouth. When Marie wanted to tell everybody off, wanted to just cut loose, I wanted to, I wanted to give people tongue lashes, but I didn't do it because I knew that eventually I was going to come out. But all that I did while I was in that moment, I wasn't going to be able to reverse it. I wasn't going to be able to take it back. So it is vital that, because if I wasn't talking to y'all and I hadn't said that to y'all, they would have probably got a whole lot of Marie. And that whole church would have been towed up because I would have told everybody off in there. But I would have had to live with those consequences later on down the road. So y'all save people's lives. Give y'all something.
Hey, I be like, God know my heart.
Yeah, count it to my head, not my heart.
Yep.
Y'all knew I was going through, but no, but y'all did y'all rescued a whole lot of people, and they just don't know, because y'all know when I've had enough, I'll be sweet, but I will cut you, and I won't think twice about it. But I didn't want to. I did not want to go through that storm having no residue left, or I wanted to be able to walk away from that ministry knowing that my hands were clean. So, yep, I had two amazing people in my life, um, that stood by me, and I was able to tell them, I'm not okay with this. I'm not. I don't think I can't breathe, because I was telling you I can't breathe. Y'all remember that? I said I can't breathe. Every time I take a breath, it's hurting me. But when I would go out the house, people were like, "Oh, you look so good." If you knew what I looked like behind the doors when I shut them, I wasn't okay. But we have to be able, and that's why I keep hearing, we have to be able to say it. You have to be able to say that I'm not okay, so you can learn how to be okay.
And let me interject in here. Excuse me. Um, when we're not okay and people We try to tell that things, try to talk to someone, and then they want to judge you and say, "Well, you need to get over it." That's the
Ooh.
famous word. You need to get over it. How long? You know, I don't take all that. This, that, and the
Ooh.
other. That's a
Yeah,
lie from the pits of hell. It's kind of like grieving. Nobody can tell you how long to grieve.
they sure can.
Nobody.
But they try to.
But they try to.
Hmm.
Some people it takes a day. Some people it takes 7 years. Some people it take forever. But I want to say this: when people start judging you and you trying to share, when you do speak up, because I agree with Alice, you have to be able to open your mouth and say, I mean, to me, I don't know how y'all talk to God, but me and God be having some straight out blowout. Hey, look, do you
Hmm.
not know I'm still here? I humble myself. There's never no disrespect when I talk to God, but
Hmm.
I know how to enter into His throne room, and He knows when I enter in there, and it's like the Lord. Mm-mm. But when we don't have a place, we don't open our mouths, and we keep shut, and we pretend we wear the mask. We put on this mask. The only reason why Alice left that house because of her 3 daughters. I ain't gonna hold you up. I'm gonna tell you straight up too. Truth.
Hmm.
If Alice could, she would have stayed in that bed every day she possibly could. And
Hmm.
that's the God's honest truth.
True.
She went through trauma. She lost the love of her life. The head of her household, her children's father, her friend, her confidant. But she left that house because she had to. She was forced to because she had 3 daughters that still had to get where they needed to be. But what I'm going to say is, when you don't open your mouth, then the enemy comes in,
Hmm.
and the enemy gets in your mind and start telling you, well, they talking about you. They didn't like you anyway. They jealous of you, and the enemy says these things to stop you from opening your mouth. So that then comes in, you feel betrayed and rejected.
Hmm.
And that spirit of rejection, it's like that scripture when he said, we are many. It brings a whole lot more little spirits behind them, and they
Hmm.
latch on to you, baby. And once they latch on, it's hard to get rid of them.
Sure
So now you
is.
stuck because you're in a church, and it's not necessarily always church. Let me make sure we say that,
True. Yes,
because
true.
there's some good churches out here with some awesome men and women
Yes,
of God
amen.
that don't
Amen.
put your business in the pulpit, that don't talk about you. But I
So
got a
true.
problem. I got a problem with anybody in the church, not in the church, in the workforce,
Outside, right?
wherever. If you ain't been through the hell I've been through, you can't tell me nothing.
Mm-mm.
If you ain't lived it, you can't preach it to me. And I believe that one of the reasons that we go through the things that we go through is so that we can help the next person be like, oh, I remember when I fell down that hole. Let me help you get out. I know the way out. And then we
Right.
climb down that hole with them, and we help them get out that hole. We have to go through something to be able to help someone. But when you don't go through anything because you had a perfect household, you didn't have chaos in your house, you had a loving family, this, and that, and the other, the enemy will find a way to creep in and tell you
Mm-hmm.
not to talk. And then when you do go to talk, and then you get a rejection, then the enemy's in your ear. See, I told you. I
Mm-hmm.
told you they didn't like you. Keep your mouth shut. What are you telling them for? You need to go over here. And then you find yourself isolated. You find yourself a little corner, and the stuff that's going on in your world, and to you, it's tearing you apart. You don't know how you're gonna pay your bills. You don't know how you're gonna feed your kids. You don't know where your rent's gonna come from. You don't know if you're gonna have a job or not. Your car done broke down. You got $5 to your name,
Mm-hmm. Wow.
and then you isolated. So then here come that spirit of suicide. If you
Mm.
just go ahead and kill yourself,
Yeah.
it'll be better for everybody. And then I can speak to that because there was a many times I used to work for the Quaker Oats Company in Chicago. And there's a bridge you had to cross to get over the Chicago River to get to the building. And I had my daughter. My daughter was 2, 3. And I was just, her dad was well, he wasn't really my high school sweetheart, but he was, yeah, I guess he was. Anyway, needless here nor there. Um, when we were together in high school and me helping him through college, we were ice cream and pie. But the minute I had a baby, things changed. All those lies that were promised, we gonna get married, we gonna this, we gonna that, blah blah blah. I came from rejection in a household. I've never been okay because I dealt with post PTSD at home, not realizing that until I got grown. I was abused every day, beaten every day because I didn't look like everybody in my household. And then when I go around cousins and things, it was the same thing. So then I was alone and I was never okay growing up. And that went into my adulthood. I'm not okay. And you're carrying on stuff that needs to not be there because now you're just functioning through life. So then when you're alone and you get by yourself, and because the devil's saying don't nobody like you, don't nobody want to be around you, don't nobody, you need to get over this. Next thing you know, loneliness creeps in. And you're single and you got a baby to feed and you don't know how you're going to pay the bills again and this and that and the other. And then you find out baby daddy got another girlfriend. Now that wasn't my story, but I'm just saying baby daddy got another girlfriend. It just things just piles up. And then all of a sudden suicide comes along knocking at you.
And that is something that's hard to get rid of.
Tell the
Once
truth.
you are gripped with that, I had a period in college, and looking back on it now, and with the knowledge that I have, I'm just gonna tell it. I had a nervous breakdown, but I didn't know what it was at that time. I just knew I was in a bout of depression. I could not shake it, and the only thing that kept me here, I mean, besides a praying mama, because she told me, she said, I knew it, I felt it, and I just had to pray and intercede. But the only thing that kept me here was that I could not find a way to end it. I could not take pills, and I did not like pain. So I'm
Girl,
like,
you just was out of it.
so I was like, what,
Yeah.
what choice do I have? I'm like,
Yeah.
so I was like, I couldn't. And I think what set me over the edge was I tried to do therapy when I was in college. You know how they have the counselor. And I had the mindset, I'm gonna unburden myself. I'm a, talk, right? I couldn't talk when I was younger. I'm gonna talk. And don't ask me why everything happened to come out when I was at school. All the memories, everything just came back, right? So I was talking, and this therapist told me, you know, um, if you're serious, I'm gonna have to call the police, and I'm gonna have to warn the person. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, I thought this was supposed to be confidential, because as later on in life you hear about the 3 hertz rule or whatever, where it's confidential unless you threaten it to hurt yourself, hurt
Yeah,
someone else, or
exactly.
someone is
What
hurting
else?
you. Other than that, it's confidential. But see, at that point, this was years and years ago, I just thought whatever you said in there was confidential. So I had to retract what I was saying and had to again put on the mask. Oh, I was just playing. And because I could not release and could not get what I felt was justice for the injustice that was put upon me, it just made me lose it.
Yeah. And I remember
Because
you
there was
sharing that
nobody
with
for
me.
you to trust. Who if I
Yeah.
can't trust you in the privacy of your office, who else can I trust? You
Yeah.
you you got the alphabets behind your name saying you supposed to help me, right?
Right.
And see, I tried
Yeah.
to tell my mom, but God bless her heart. Coming from a religious household, sometimes the victim is blamed for the acts of grown people.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
like, you cannot blame a child for the acts of a grown person that should not be. And I was like, so if you can't talk to an adult who's supposed to be
Your
your
protector.
protector, right?
Hmm.
Then you just keep everything in.
Right. Right.
But you also
Right.
got to remember, we grew up in the generation of mothers
That
and
dealt with it.
daddies that they didn't know how to talk. They didn't. No, 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 no.
Because they were taught not to talk. So they just was carrying it from generation to generation. And what has happened is we're not that generation that we want to be silent. And my mom, now my mom talk a whole lot.
Mhm,
Y'all know that.
mhm.
But she would tell you as she was growing up, they didn't talk about stuff. They didn't talk about, this is my daddy's uh son by my sister. Just they didn't talk
Tell the
about
truth.
that. That
Mhm.
was that was stuff that was hidden. And but we're at the point where we don't want to hurt anymore. We want to be able to function through life. We want to thrive through life. We know that God has so much more for us, and this is not a place that we would want to stay. This is not a, I knew when my husband had passed and the girls were in school and I was driving back and forth 1 hour. I remember so clearly, I was like, just like Dawn was saying, like, oh, people talking about you. And the enemy literally told me, just drive into the trees, drive into them trees, and you don't ever have to worry about nothing else. And I heard the Lord so clear say, don't do it. Do not do it. If we don't open our mouth, the enemy will always hold us hostage
Hmm.
to I can't say anything. And that's what the enemy wants. He wants our mouths to stay closed. And this is one thing that I love about this podcast, that we're able to share and be transparent in the most weakest, darkest times of our lives. And when Dawn talked about the whole, I call it the pit moment, when we're so deep in that pit that you can't even see daylight. You're so far
Mhm.
down, you can't even see daylight. But there is daylight. So that's why us three are here on Hey, Let's Talk About It,
Mm.
to let you know that there's daylight. You do have a voice. Just say it out loud. I'm not okay. But by the grace of God, every mask that I put on, every garment that I put on that God did not assign me to wear, Lord disrobe me. I'm gonna tell you that disrobing was hard for me. And I think y'all can chime in that just the pulling off the mask. And then because when you look in the mirror, I don't look like myself. That's how I felt. I don't know about anybody else. But when I looked at myself, I didn't see me. But as God allowed me to begin to pull off the mask and say, okay, I'm not okay, one would come off. And sadness started to leave. The look of grief started to leave. Then the garment of not good enough, the garment of shame, all that he was pulling off of me. Then I started to see myself. When you can acknowledge that I'm not okay where I'm at, and find that person or those persons, like my sister said, to be able to share and talk to and not be judged on where you're at. It's not a church thing, it's a people thing. And that's what we have to remember. It is a people thing. Ask God to send you somebody, send you to a group that I can sit among some people that can help me navigate and find that, hey, it is okay. It's okay to not be okay, but eventually I'm gonna be all right. I am. And I think this is an avenue for all of us to share of how there was moments in our lives, and there's still going to be, and we're going to be honest, there's going to be moments in our lives that's even going to come now that we're not okay. But we know that eventually we will be. So what else y'all got to say, girls?
You know, there's a lot of emotional damage that leaves scars and that nobody can ever see from whatever you're going through. Um, Childhood abuse, childhood trauma, bullies in the neighborhood, growing up in high school trying to fit in, which is a lot of things that our younger I don't know. I won't even say millennials. What are your babies called? What
I don't know.
generation are they? They're not millennials, are they?
No, they're not millennials. Girls, what generation are y'all?
ABC. What generation are they?
ABC. She doing alphabet.
But you know, they're dealing with bullying on a whole nother different level. So there's so much emotional
Okay.
damage to that.
Okay. So they're Gen Z.
Oh, they're Gen Z. Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm like,
See,
what is all this?
yeah.
Gen Z?
So the level of emotions and trauma that they're dealing with, they can talk to their peers, but their peers are low key are one convince other ones, very ones convincing them, hey, it's okay to you can have sex without having sex and still be a virgin. You know, if you smoke these drugs, ain't nobody gonna know. Then the same people they going to school with. So how
Yeah.
they gonna trust them?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they got that emotion. They can't talk to the mama because mama can't relate. Because mama thing, if mama find out, she gonna beat my butt. If mama,
Hmm.
if mama care, if mama's not too tired to
Yeah.
listen because mama's working 2 and 3 jobs trying to keep food on the table.
And
Um,
if mama not doing the same thing you doing.
that part. Um, the emotional damage that you can't see. That's the different generations, the generational curses, the abuse. You're in an abusive relationship, married or not married. And it ain't
Hmm.
always physical abuse. Again, I work for a domestic violence shelter, and the things that I hear and see, it just I have to stay covered and prayed up. Have to.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, so the emotional trauma that you don't see that keeps your mouth shut because you don't want people to judge you. I'm being abused, but if I tell this person, they're going to want to know why I'm still in that relationship. I can't leave this relationship because this is his house or her house and she
Hmm.
controls or he controls the money. And
Talk about it, sis.
if I leave, then he's going to beat me and follow me and follow my friends and stalk my friends and things like that. Uh, and then, or if it ain't physical,
It's
or
mental.
financial, it's a mental thing.
Hmm.
You ain't nothing.
Mhm.
You ain't gonna never be nothing. Don't nobody want you. That's what I went
Hmm.
through. I grew up with that, and then I went with dated a man that told me, "You done got fat. Ain't no don't no man want no woman with no baby." Blah 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 blah. The whole trauma behind just having that first child, from the church hurt to the people you trusted to family, this and that. I kept my mouth shut for a long time. And then when I started talking, people didn't want to hear. They said, "Oh, that's all you talk about. When you gonna get over it? When you gonna?" I am still hurting. So nobody's told me how to be okay. Nobody's told me how I'm not supposed to feel. How do I get out of this?
Hmm.
You know, I was brokenhearted. I was there. There's a thing that's called. There's a book out that I read a long time ago. That's called "Broken to be Made Whole." You're broken like an eggshell.
Hmm.
It's like a Humpty Dumpty effect. Then you trust all these people, and the more you trust them, the more the shells just shatter. And you know, when you shatter an egg all over the place, the yolk go one way and you got shells for days. But God can take that eggshell and put it back together like Humpty Dumpty
You
when you
can.
trust him. When you lean not to your own understanding and you
Mhm.
follow you go through the scriptures, because sometimes it just has to be you and God. And that's where I've gotten in
Yes.
my place, because I don't trust people. I love everybody, but I don't trust you.
Mm.
You don't know me. So
Hmm.
I've trusted enough people to get my feelings hurt, to get me dragged in the mud, to be talked about, used and abused. So all I got in my life is God. When Alice said
Mm.
I was sick, she ain't lying. That's a story of a horse for another day. But um, I laid in that hospital room many a days and said, Lord, just take
By
me.
yourself, yeah.
I'm tired. I
Yeah.
don't want to do this no more. Take me. When I started earlier, when I said I used to work for the Quaker Oats Company, used to cross that bridge every day, dealing with the mental abuse from my daughter's father. Just kill yourself. That's what the devil was telling me. If you just jump
Hmm.
over this bridge, ain't nobody gonna go. You'll be better. Nobody's gonna care. Do you? You'll be okay if you jump over this bridge. But I had a small voice in my head that tells
Hmm.
me,
Thank you,
if you
Lord.
do that, who's gonna take care of that baby you wanted so bad? Nobody's gonna raise your child the way you can.
That's right. Thank you.
That's the only thing that kept me from jumping over that bridge that I walked over every day, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. So there, and I'm 60 years old. I'm not gonna hold you up. Let me tell you this now. I'm not okay. Okay, I'm still not okay. Me and my son told me, he said, Mama, you need to get counseling. You're holding on to things. That's all I know how to do. All I do is this function. I move, I keep going, I keep going, I keep going. It's when I stop moving, is when things start playing back in my head.
Hmm.
But I got a God that I can say, look, hey, it's me. I'm not
Right.
okay today, Lord. Help me.
Hmm. Yeah.
Help me to understand what's going on. And then he wait till I'm done ranting and raving. And you done? Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's
I
talk
did
about it
that.
for real.
You
And
know,
you know what we got to understand when people say, when are you going to get over it? What people have to understand, until God pulls me out, this is where I'm at. Because if I knew how to get out of it myself, I would have been out of it a long time ago. Until God has developed in me what he needs me to be, this is where I'm going to be at. So I tell the Lord, Lord, whatever you got to develop in me, keep me anchored, keep me rooted, keep me grounded in you until you pull me out of this. Because he's doing something. Because every time I want to go a different direction, he pulled me back. So there's a purpose behind everything that God takes us through. He's just building us. Sometimes it's not pleasant, and it can cause pain. But for though, and I'm gonna be on, how dare people say get over it, or when will you get over it? I can't come out. So newsflash, all points bulletin, can't get out until God brings you out. Your job is to stay in him and rooted until he do it. So that's what I got on that part. So
and let me say this before we, I know we're getting
no,
closer
we
to
are, no,
shutting
we're
down.
good. Go ahead.
Okay, let me say this. Sometimes what I've gotten in my life now is, Lord, what am I supposed to learn from this?
I
You done
ask that all the time.
you put me in this. Obviously, I'm here to help somebody. I got to get somebody somewhere, or they got to help me to get where I'm supposed to be. And
Mm-hmm.
how long do I have to be in this? Because they say a season, or what's that scripture? Weeping may endure for a
Do it for a
night,
night, but
but
joy come
joy
in the
coming. But
morning.
how long is the night, though? Let me ask that question. Somebody answer that. How long is that night? Because, baby,
Woo! I
some of
feel
these
you.
journeys or quote unquote assignments that
It's
God
too
gives
long.
you,
It
it
almost
ain't for the weak. It ain't
no,
for the weak,
because
baby.
it almost wears you out. And we just gonna be honest. And people are like, whoa, it does. It always almost, and that's the key word, almost wears you out. But when you get to that moment, because y'all knew where I was at, my God, I was wore out. I was so done. And a lot of people don't know. Um, Dawn and Dorena do know. They know the grave was my home. I spent my days at the grave, and I kept screaming, Lord, when are you gonna get me out of this? Because it is killing me. It is killing me physically. When are you going to get me out of this? Because I cannot take much more. And I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt, when you get to that moment that you done had, he know what we can. And I know people don't like that cliche. He won't put no more on us than we can handle. He's built some of us, Darina, Dawn, he's built some of us to withstand a lot because there will be some things that we will carry for others that they can't handle. But we gonna be the sounding brass, the person that makes the sound that, hey, we understand where you're at. Why do we understand where you're at? Because we've been there. We've been into that point where we wanted to tell somebody we're not okay, but we kept our mouth closed. We wanted to say we're in the pit and nobody down here to talk to. We want to say, I'm broken and I don't like life. I don't even want to be here. But we're going to be able to tell somebody, look at us now. Look at the season that God has us in. He pushed us into our purpose, into our destiny. So we can tell you how God can do it. Now, then you can go tell somebody else how God has brought you out. So that's why. So, my sister Dawn, I'm going to give you a little. This is why God has put you and allowed you to go through the things that you went through for this chapter of your life, because somebody has to see a true living epistle. John and Paul, they good, but they dead. Dead can't talk. But we have, I work at a funeral home. Dead don't talk. But we are the mouth. We are God's mouthpiece. So we wonder, I said, why? You asked why. Darina asked why. Why did we go through all those things in our childhood? Because y'all don't, if I tell y'all, we'll get through that about our childhood. If we tell you the story from childhood up to now, God was orchestrating every step of the way. It was painful. So it was painful, but it was for our development for this day, this time, this season. So we can say, hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. So y'all, this is my sisters. And so those that are watching are going to be listening. We ain't going to be watching. Listening to this podcast on next Friday. If you want to seed into this podcast, so me and my sisters continue to do what we do, in the next video promo, my crew will have, hey, let's talking about it, Cash App, where you can send your seed and offering. Help us continue to do what we do. So y'all, until next week.
Wait,
Y'all
wait, wait,
want
wait,
to
wait.
No,
y'all
Let
want
me
to
let me
sign
say
off?
something.
wait,
Let
I'm
me
gonna
wait,
say
let you
wait. How
sign
something.
you
up. Wait,
gonna
wait,
shut us
wait,
down?
wait, wait,
You just shut us down. Wait a minute. You gonna
wait,
ask us the money and
wait,
then don't let us
I,
finish?
wait.
Wait a
I'm like, wait a
minute.
minute. I said I got something to say.
We got
I'm gonna let
something
y'all
to say.
finish. Hold on, I'm gonna let y'all finish. I'm not gonna sign off. I don't want to sign off with the money stuff because I don't like doing that. So go ahead, y'all. Y'all finish up for me. Go ahead.
Okay. I was just gonna say, being okay is like a poison. And if you call poison control, they'll give you a process in which to go about to feel better or to get rid of that poison. And sometimes they'll tell you what to take to make it come out.
Mm-hmm.
And for anyone that's in need of help, that needs to talk to someone that doesn't have that person, most states have a 988 number.
Mm-hmm.
It's a suicide and crisis line. Call, talk to somebody. It's confidential. Don't let it stay in and fester. It's like a sickness. It's going to come out some kind of way. So at least have it controlled where you don't have collateral damage. Okay.
So, with that being said, I'm going to give you a few little tidbits to hold on to.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to give you some scriptures so that you don't think that we really don't know what we're talking about. There is scripture that supports this.
Amen. Come on, because I have
Um,
one. I have one too. Come on.
so, some things to remember: allow yourself to fail. You don't have to be strong all the time. Don't keep quiet. Quit holding it in. You are allowed to cry, yell, scream, kick, scratch, do whatever you got to do. You're not alone as you think you are. And change your narrative. Sometimes you just
Mm.
have to change your environment and your narrative.
Wow.
Um, everybody's struggling with something. Everybody's everybody whatever they're going through, we don't know, but everybody's struggling with something. So here's some scriptures to hold on to. If you got a piece of paper, let's get it. Psalms 23:4 emphasizes that even when we walk through the difficult times, God is always with us, providing us comfort and strength. God cares for the brokenhearted. Psalms 34:18
Mm.
assures that God is near to those who are experiencing pain and sorrow, ready to provide healing. God works through challenges. Romans 8:28 reminds us that even difficult situations can be used by God for our ultimate good, offering hope in times of struggle.
Stole my scripture.
Psalms 55:22 cast your cares on the Lord and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken or forsaken. Matthew 11:28 come to me all you who are weary and burdened and I will give you rest. And the last one before we leave is going to be First Peter 5:7. Cast all your
Your
anxiety
kids.
on him and
Ooh.
cares because he cares for you. With that being said, we don't have a heaven or hell to put y'all in. We just hear two, three women, beautiful women of God, that loves people, and we just here to share our stories. We love you guys. And
Yeah.
Alice, go ahead, take it away.
So, y'all, if you have any comments or you have any topics that you want us to talk about, you can send them into the messenger for Driven in Purpose. Eventually, in the next week, there will be a Facebook page for Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. And remember, it's okay. Okay, so yes, we do. We have a Facebook page. Thank you, Chili's. I got people in the background. So we do have a Facebook page. So you guys go to Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for real. Y'all, we love you. And we
Love
will see
you.
you on next Friday. Hey,
Bye
y'all, let's
bye.
talk to you. Hey, let's talk about it. Let's talk
Be
about it for
safe, be
real.
sane.
Good night,
Hey, let's talk
y'all.
about
Good
it. Good
night.
night.
Good night.